Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy that you are joining us today for this wonderful summit series. The title of today's interview is Self-Healing Through Self-Love, Alchemize Your Life with Love. During our time together, Jen will delve into the profound essence of self-love, echoing the wisdom of Rumi's timeless quote. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Love has been described as the paramount alchemist, and it serves as a foundational key to harnessing all energies. So I invite you to join me as Jen shares how energy healing initiates in the quantum realm and helps us to unveil the primary obstacles hindering our connection to this powerful force. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Jen, let me share a little bit about Jen. Jen Cunnings is a gifted energy alchemist and an intuitive guide devoted to guiding individuals on their transformative journey towards self-discovery. With a passion for teaching the transmutative power of love energy, Jen helps people heal past wounds, release trauma, and embrace their authentic selves as she channels healing transmissions in light language and sound healing. Jen has facilitated thousands of healing sessions and led groups in workshops, events, and retreats. Her mission is to empower you to remember that you have all that you need within to reclaim your joy, love, and power. Welcome, Jen.
Hey, Sherry, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I've been so excited to meet you. I've been following you for a while now and love all the conversations between you and Loren. And so it's just such a perfect time because I know that my sense of you has been you're all about self-love. And so it's beautiful that you are bringing this in for everybody right now and how we're all being invited to take that journey. And yet so many of us struggle with that concept and even the interpretation of what self-love really is.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to explore that a little bit with me and share with the viewers why you are so passionate and what it is for you, what you believe self-love is?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy to. And it basically it started with just kind of the concept of energy healing. And when I began that journey of energy healing 20 years ago through Reiki, I was just drawn to it. I didn't really have, a mental concept. It was just I was, just so attracted to the magic and the power of energy healing. Well, fast forward a bit, I realized through the Rumi quote that you mentioned earlier that really what we're doing when we're healing energy, when we're clearing energy is we're unraveling all the places, as Rumi says, all the barriers that we have built within ourselves that are not love. And I used to tell my clients, I would sit in a chair and draw this really, rudimentary drawing. And I would draw this circle. And I said, in the center of this circle is you, your soul, and it's pure and it's whole and it's innocent and it's unadulterated and it's love and it's, infinite, right? And it's all that you are. And then, then we come into a human body and then we've accumulated through experiences in having this human experience of contrast of not being that center soul being, yet we still are, but we forgot. So then we accumulate, beliefs about ourselves that are less than kind, I'm not enough, or I should lose 10 pounds, or I should be, doing more, or I should be smarter. I need to read a bunch of books, or why can't I attract that relationship, or whatever the judgments that are happening are really the layers that are creating a dimness of that light, right? So anywhere we're not loving or compassionate or kind to ourselves or to somebody else, we're not in alignment with that center point within ourselves. And I began through my work with my clients and my own journey, just to really see, man, there are a lot of layers. There is a lot of stored energies through our ancestral lineage, through past lives, through other timelines, if you'd like to conceptualize it that way, that we hold in our cells and our DNA that are at a vibrational level that doesn't allow us to access that center loving space. And so that's just kind of the super simple way in which I operate with myself in my sessions is working, like about a couple years ago, I said to myself, I am committing to self-love. Like I'm going to do everything it takes so that I can get in alignment to release, judgments, release unworthiness, release fear and stress and worry about the future, or release lack, or whatever it is. Because all those things are those things that are those layers that are blocking love. And so that's really my simplified way when I work with myself and others energetically is let's just purify, clear, and remove all these barriers, as Rumi says, that are preventing us from love. And it's just returning us back to wholeness, right? It's just helping us remember and realign and be able to hold that vibration that is our truest self. And it's really kind of that simple, yet also not easy, right? Like those of us who've been on this spiritual journey for a while realize like it's not just the decision like I'm going to exist in self-love from now on. we have some obstacles to navigate through. So
we really do too, don't we? And so, the title of the Summit series is The Legacy of Love, the Return of the Divine Cosmic Mother. And so, like, for me, from my own personal experience, I know there were two parts of me that went through this journey of sort of remembering and love. And so there was the personal self, the person, more of the personality, the one that presents herself out in the world. And that was going through this journey of awareness first, right? Like becoming aware of me and all these things that were in ways I was sort of limiting myself and playing small and not allowing myself to really, who am I? But then it's like these beautiful 12-step programs that say you can't do this by yourself. And I think almost every single one of us is given some kind of initiation to the sacred in some way that's trying to lead us back home through crisis, through some health problems, through a relationship ending, through job loss, through whatever it is. Is that fair to say? Has that been your experience too? Because I'm like convinced that this is the way we're being guided to go back home, and our personal self takes it so personally, and yet there's a part of us within that knows I'm not going to go through this whole thing and come out the same. I want to transform, not knowing what that's going to be, but knowing there's something deep within calling. And I used to think, I think that's the Divine Mother, but I don't know. What is tell me a little bit about your experience and how you found how you found home.
Yeah, well, still in the process, I'll acknowledge. And I would say there's so much to what you said. So I kind of like want to unpack it a little bit by little bit, because on one hand, like mentioning the crises or experiences that I would say are the mirrors that are reflecting the places where we need love, right? It's like these places within ourselves that are out of alignment with love. And so we're going to draw in, right? We're going to magnetically call in all these places where the wound still exists, where the trauma is still stored, where we don't feel safe to trust, where we don't feel safe to receive that magnitude of Divine Mother's love. And so what I've found is really opening up for so many of us, myself included, and I'm really seeing this big in the field right now, is where a couple things, where we don't trust love, where we don't trust ourselves, and where we certainly don't feel safe to be vulnerable enough, or maybe worthy enough, or safe enough to allow ourselves that level of openness and receptivity. Again, I'll use the word vulnerability, to really receive the level of the Divine Mother's love. And I believe that one of the reasons why a lot of our external experiences, challenges, obstacles, however it might be showing up in your life, are being amplified and magnified right now is that we are being bombarded with so much mother's love,
Mm.
and it's kind of coming in and it's shaking stuff up. Like, and she's saying, like, I'm here. I've always been here. You might have thought you were alone. You might have thought you were navigating through these struggles without me. Like, you might have thought you were disconnected from your divine self, from Divine Mother. And she's saying, no more can we exist in this level of separation. I get chills. And yet it's coming in to show us some of the really deepest, I don't mean to go down the dark hole, but this is really what's happening. It's, showing us the deepest wounding where, we haven't yet, we're in the process of accessing some of these deepest traumas where, we didn't feel that connection was there. We didn't feel we were held and supported and comforted and loved. And so we therefore put up all these barriers and these protections and, put our human suits on and existed in this way of, I'm by myself and I have to do it myself. And I gotta, trust my mind, not my heart, right? I have to trust my intellect and my knowledge, not my emotions. And so we're just in this massive, process of like remembering the heart, returning to the mother, and it's such a balancing act of releasing all the places where we're clinging to the past or the safety or the ego, right? Clinging to fear, clinging to safety. And then the other side of that is this invitation of surrender. And I don't know about you, but as much as I want that, as much as I'm, working towards that and conscious around that, there's still parts of me that are kicking and screaming and holding on with dear life,
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I really do, because we don't know what does that mean? What am I surrendering?
Right.
What am I saying yes to?
Yeah.
But don't you think, though, too, when you start to recognize that you are the soul, that you are this, the essence of love and the expression of love, and that's how the divine flows through you, that you get to a point where there is no other option?
Absolutely. And I think that's why we have some of these extreme circumstances that might be coming up is like, there is no option. I can't do this myself. I have no option other than to surrender and let go,
Right. And
and
then not only that, but wanting, desiring. It's like, I feel this love within. Nobody outside of me can give it to me. Only I can get this deep, profound, some of the most blissful moments of love, pure love, have come when I've been taken through these experiential processes and I'm connecting to my higher self or to a higher being or whatever, and feeling that love immerse itself within me and being one with it. And it's not like I can carry it all the time, but it's a feeling that you get and you remember it. And it's like, I'm going back to that. So it's a really good, like, GPS as to when you're not, and so I feel like what I'm trying to say is there, for me at least, there came a point where, and you know what, and there might be resistance because there might be something else that comes up for me to surrender again, and I might say, I don't really think I'm ready to surrender that. But I
right.
also know there's an aspect of myself that if I felt like I was being called to that, because there's something within me that knows this, not like a booming voice comes out and says this, but there's an inner knowing. I would know if I didn't, I would be sabotaging my evolution.
Absolutely. And I think that's where we're really being the invitation for this fine tuning. And maybe I'm almost I'm thinking about sharpening a knife for some reason, where you've got the coarse grind and then the fine
Yeah.
grind. And
Yeah.
I think that depending on, no matter where you're at. You could be in the coarse grind mode where things are really being shaken up, or you could be in the fine where you're really fine tuning about every little decision you're making. Like, is this aligned with love? Is this aligned with my soul truth? And if we make those decisions, as small as they may be, any kind of choice that might be mind focus versus, trust, self, higher self, divine mother, we will find out really, really quickly if we chose out of alignment. And that's really the fine tuning that's happening right now. And it's like a muscle, right? We're building this muscle of continuing to deepen our trust with self. And so that those moments that you describe, Sherry, of the bliss of the connection, we can hold for longer periods of time. Right. And so, like, for me, I just kind of feel it's a little bit like the ocean, where I'll say, like, I remember once I came back from Mount Shasta and I had a really profound experience with Mother Mary. And there was, like, I don't know, over 3 weeks. And that bliss was just there. And I was like, oh, did I finally get here? And then, I wasn't able to hold it,
Right.
Much longer, because what was, and a no judgment on myself, because what that showed me is that I still have density that was within me that I had not yet been able to access, that prevents me from holding that frequency. And so that's the only reason I think that we aren't able to hold this 100% of the time, is we're just still doing the purification work of so much that we've accumulated over eons of time. And I think that there seems to be, just again, from my perception and my clients, and right now, a lot of fear in the field, because there's a greater invitation to that surrender than ever before. And so all of our fears that maybe we address them, and then now there's just another little sneaky aspect that we hadn't yet accessed.
Right. And there's always layers, like we're continually clearing. It almost felt like, for me, for a long time, it almost like was another layer of an onion. And then all of a sudden it started to feel like a petal of a flower opening. So the real me was starting to be revealed rather than taking away the layers. But the truth is we're here as humans, the soul having this experience as a human, because we are here to clear all of these things that we're working on. So that's another beautiful thing when we realize none of us is perfect. Every one of us is here working on something. Even the ones that seem like they're holding the most light are still working on. We're continually working on clearing and clearing and clearing.
Yes.
But the more that we clear, the more that we remember that we are these divine beings.
Right. Yeah. It's not anything, like, back to that core center energy. I think in our spiritual pursuits, I'm going to use that word intentionally, that, there's that seeking of the activations of, where I channel the light language, and, seeking the things that are going to get us into those highest places. And yet, like, that's actually really not what's happening, right? It's already there. We don't need to necessarily raise our vibration. We're actually making space for that true inner vibration, as you say, the petal blossoming to emerge. Right? Because nobody's holding that ascension frequency outside of you. You are already that.
Exactly.
And that's why I think activations come in and work sometimes, but then they may not be able to be held.
Right.
And so really,
yeah.
So at the end of the day, the work is the purification. So sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I kind of got excited and started to cut in. So I apologize for that. It's so exciting when you get to have these deeper, conversations that are so sacred and so real and soul, soul to soul, heart to heart. So I heard you say something when you were talking about the higher self. You said divine mother. Is that your experience as divine mother, as being your higher self?
so my immediate answer is yes. And then my intellectual answer is probably still yes. But I would say like have I embodied that as a full embodied knowing? Probably not yet.
Right.
Like I think conceptually, and I'm just being totally transparent here.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you
Like
are.
that would be like one of my teachers mentioned said once, let me see if I can remember the words, like our physical body is the living embodiment of the Divine Mother, something
Mm-hmm.
along those lines. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, that's a
I
lot
know.
to take in, because what have we done to our bodies? We've judged them, we've made them wrong, we've
Yeah.
compared them, we've put, crappy
Oof.
things in them, right? And so I was like, oh, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, but I don't think I've fully allowed that all the way in.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. As you said that, a wave of sadness came over me when you said that, how we treat our bodies, because I, it's so hard. I feel like each one of us is dealing with some kind of a mother wound.
Chills. Yes.
Not even if our own mother wasn't, our mother could have been, our birth mother could have been the best, but we're still longing for something, and it's her.
And I think our mothers mirror a representation of the Divine Mother, where even if we had a loving and nurturing and emotionally available, comforting mother, it
Mm.
probably wasn't at the full capacity that we needed that, right?
Exactly.
Because we are having
Ex-
this human experience. And so
right.
I think that there's the proxy of the physical mother representing our wound
Hmm.
with the Divine Mother that we've existed from. And then
Mm.
let's not, that we could take that out into the wounds of the Divine Feminine, which we have
Hmm.
seen as, such gross
I
mass
know.
violations. And that's a whole nother episode, isn't it?
It is, and that's why I almost went there, and that's I'm not meaning to smile because I mean, there is a deep wound, and I think even at some point, like I was kind of clueless to it for a long time, and then all of a sudden, I think something happened in my own, I don't know, sort of awake remembering or whatever, and then all of a sudden, I could feel the wound of the feminine, what was really going on. But there are so many wounds for so many people, but I do believe a core wound for every single person, whether you're male or female, is this longing for the connection to the Divine Mother that only she can bring, like a mother, wrapping us and holding us and nurturing us and compassionate and loving and accepting. And we are not, most of us are none of those things when we start our journey of trying to remember who we really are, because we're so hard on ourselves,
Right.
have no compassion for ourselves. And then what I learned is that then that makes me even less patient with other people, because when I can hold compassion and acceptance and awareness about myself, I become way more aware and compassionate and loving and kind to others.
Absolutely. And again, it's like we're just having to really comfort this wounded inner child, beyond the childhood of this lifetime and the totality of that wound. And I think that this weekend I was in a class. So the woman I work with, her name is Grace Galgazori.
I
And if you,
love Grace. I
is
love
it
her.
extraordinary? And so, like 2 years ago, I began working with her. And, if you had told me I would need, like an energy healing modality teacher, I'd be like, I've been doing this anyway. My ego was all up in
Right,
arms. But
right.
anyway, and so my soul like led me to her, and she has really helped me break down some of these wounds that I was still carrying and still carry. And so it's funny, this weekend we were talking about how, in order to be in that allowance of the Divine Mother's love fully, there's an invitation to return to the innocence of a child. And there
Mm.
was even a quote that she had given us in a slide. I'm going to butcher it, but it was something along the lines of from Jesus said that if in order to access the kingdom of heaven, to return to the innocence. And so I'm doing a meditation a couple days ago, and I'm feeling this, right? Like I want this, like to be in that space of purity. Like that's back to that inner soul, that space of purity and innocence and receptivity, and not this guarded, harsh,
Right.
And so I'm just in this, and I'm inviting it, and then I immediately get this and I'm sharing this because I think there's people out there who may relate to this. I get this real big belief system that says this planet isn't a safe place to be innocent. Right? We've done really not so nice things to children and animals and the earth and the trees. Like these innocent beings haven't been safe. Right. And so I was like, it was kind of this something I knew, but it was the aha, because what that was showing me, back to Rumi, these are barriers. These are beliefs, right? It's not safe to be vulnerable. It's not safe to be in that space of innocence. And so it's working through the wounding that is still operating in these belief systems, right? And so anyway, that's my own. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm still fully working, through this on my own. But all my clients that come in mirror, because they're in a similar space, and just real deep stuff is coming up right now for us to clear.
I think for all of us, and speaking of that, we talked about you maybe doing a process for all of us, an experiential, taking us through something. And I feel like this is just the perfect time.
Let's do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I would just invite everybody to close down their eyes. And I'm just going to take a moment. I'm going to verbalize this, but just to kind of tune into the field. And Sherry, I'm going to let you be the proxy for everybody listening now and later outside of time and space. And just closing down our eyes, taking some breaths to just get nice and settled into our bodies, acknowledging our bodies as this beautiful vessel that has carried, these wounds, has carried the baggage from the past, from our ancestors, from our mothers and our grandmothers. Our body has carried these barriers to love, these mother wounds, as we discussed. And so I'm just going to invite you to be open, to allow, to take some breaths in your body and allow any of these places of pain or wounding that you've held in your body. And not needing to know a story here, just simply inviting the consciousness, the divinity of your body to assist you in raising up any energies that have been stored or stuck or embedded that create, some of the belief systems we've discussed today. And we invite in our divine self to oversee this, because our mind doesn't need to orchestrate this. Once we open and tune into our bodies, we already are creating an opportunity to alchemize density back to love, fear back to light. So we're not needing to, override with our mental mind here, just really, truly being open to what the body is allowing you to connect with. So you might feel this or sense this as you drop in even deeper into your body. So for instance, as I'm tuning in, I'm noticing a little pressure in the heart space, particularly the left side. You might notice something different. You might feel a constriction in your throat, an aching in your pelvic area or your lower back. So we're creating this beautiful group field, this vortex of energy that's going to create a greater allowance for us to access anything that's available for us today, to rise up and to alchemize it back to love. And so, what I'm going to invite you to do as I begin to tune into the energy here and bring in some flow for us is to just breathe in a sense of reassurance to whatever you're noticing in your body, in your emotions, or maybe you are visual and you're seeing some images. Whatever your senses are reflecting right now, you're just going to simply send through your heart reassurance that everything's okay, that it's safe for this to rise up into light. We're going to send love. We're going to send compassion. And if it's okay, I'm going to bring through just a little light language to assist in the energy transmuting here. So this is just a space for you to receive as you continue to send comfort and love to this part of you. With the opening, an invitation to open our hearts, perhaps taking some big deep breaths into our hearts here and opening up space here. And let's ask Divine Mother to come in and embrace us, receiving her heart and her love. Yana alare nerihiano orareki. Oreso neriasoro sanamroso torara shano orareki. Norore patanamo orasanamo awana. Yana haniatarela hanayana yauraki. We can just imagine a beautiful swirling pink gold energy being swept through our bodies. Just a beautiful, loving embrace. Imagining our entire body, our entire energy field being soothed and comforted. Korasana re sanahiata arayana, yanahera arayana orare kietiaraki. Umohra sonorora sanaria shatiara arayana no orasaki. We can call in the flow of crystalline waters to assist in opening up our pathways, opening up any stuck energies as it moves through our whole body. We can ask our bodies, ask Divine Mother to assist us in releasing stored fear, worry, clinging to the old ways of comfort and protection that no longer are serving, that are preventing us from that receiving. A lot here in the root chakras and the heart. I would encourage everybody to take some breaths to really ground this energy, inviting, asking Mother Earth here to assist in this process of releasing, transmuting these energies back to love. We can invite the nature kingdom and the purity of the energy, the frequency of nature to assist us in that space of feeling more peaceful, where that beautiful vibration of Mother Earth and nature can envelop us, and training our frequency to be in that of its original purity, that blossoming of the pure soul self beginning to come through more fully now as we've made a little space here. So taking just a few breaths into the heart, communing with that divine self, and just allowing that light to emerge more fully, brighter and lighter. Ito rasana kiara rasano rashene me ito rasana rasana rahareana area sotoro rasana mo oreki. Breathing up and down our spines, just allowing this to travel up to our brain, our pineal and pituitary glands, down our spine, into our womb, into our root, down to our feet. Just a little toning. Just allowing energy to move, to flow, to adjust. We'll just take a few moments in stillness and silence here. Just holding a space of gratitude and honor for yourself. Holding a place of just so much compassion for everything you've been through. Being reminded that your pure state is love. And the Divine Mother is here to assist you in this remembrance. And we are all simply returning home. And when you're ready, just with some nice deep breaths, coming back and opening your eyes.
Thank you, Jen. It's so hard when you do these when you're like right now where we are recording and I'm like, I don't really want to come out of it. I just want to sit there for a little bit longer, but
I always
okay,
feel
so
like it goes so quick when
yeah,
when we're doing it,
yeah,
anyway, I always want to stay
yeah.
like, can we just do this for a full hour?
I know, I know. And then having to shift back to the mind,
Yeah.
sometimes it's really nice if we can just sit with that for a while, because that is sort of how we begin to remember that we are the soul, this embodied light being of so many beautiful qualities and, discovering those things about ourselves. So thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Yeah, because we can talk about it all day long, but
Yeah,
we really do have to experience it, and we're not going to do that out here or up here, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And every single one of us is going to have unique experiences based on who we are as the soul and why. Yeah. So, but ultimately, it is love. We're all going to get back to love, which is home, right? I mean, I don't know. That's for me, that's home. This is home.
Mhm.
So, anyway, okay. So it is hard to do this shift, but
Yeah.
maybe we could talk a little bit about your offer, what you're going to be offering. So let me bring that up. Your offer is Self Love Alchemy Offerings, which is a 12-day audio series, private session, and a bundle option. So Do you want me to list off the days and you just talk a little bit about them? Like, for instance, day one is Divine I Am Sacred Heart activation. Like, do you want to pause a little bit and talk about them, or should I just list them?
Yeah, I think we don't need to go through all the 12, but
Okay.
basically it's meditation with light language interwoven, similar to what we did here. And this was really kind of really the foundation of a lot of what we talked about here. I can't talk anymore either.
I know, I believe
Um,
it.
because a lot of our wounding has to do with, the feminine wounds of the violation and the masculine wounds of where we've like had to protect ourselves and control. And so this is a lot about clearing some of these so that we can
Right.
bring these back into balance. And so I was just kind of guided really, like, those 12 days, those 12 titles came through like in 2 minutes. Like they just were. And then each day, obviously, I didn't know everything I'd be doing until I started doing it. So there's each day is only a 30-minute recording, a little bit of kind of overview. And then we go into the meditation, which is just energy clearing, activating, purifying, balancing, harmonizing. And it's, you receive each day the recording and the transmission along with the messages that came through. It was recorded during the summer solstice, which was quite a big portal gateway. And these can be listened to over and over again because the energy can keep moving. So essentially, there's like 12 energy healing transmissions in the series.
Which is
So
beautiful.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
called Honoring Your Sacred Divinity. And it's kind of like everything we've talked about. Like, let's
Ex-
return back to our sacred divinity. And so it's just assisting in that reconnecting and clearing the layers that we've been talking about.
Right. And that's so beautiful because it does take time. I mean, it is a commitment to kind of say, I'm on this journey of remembering, who I am as a sovereign being and experiencing myself as, like, I think my two favorite words are now becoming holy and sacred, which has nothing to do with religion,
Right.
but everything to do with the fact that I am a holy, sacred being.
I love it.
Yeah. And so we get to experience these essence things about ourselves as we start to the layers. And so and I can feel it, it's so powerful between the light language. I find just there's a recognition. There's like something about that just immediately feels safe and draws me in.
Mm,
And then when you're bringing in sound too, right? During these, yeah, so
I'm sure
gifted.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is truly your gift and your blessing. And I thank you so much for that. And then part of your offer too is to have a private consult with you where you're going to experience a transformative journey towards your highest level of self, which will be guided by you. And you'll be placing them in a powerful healing vortex. And intuitively, you will be identifying and clearing any blocks to love by finding and transmuting trauma, pain, and emotional blocks at the DNA level. So, just to facilitate a deep restoration of our connection to our divine self. Wow, that's beautiful. And I know for myself, I swear these are the things that I did. I mean, I didn't know you at the time, but I know you could have been definitely one that led me back to my remembrance. But that is how I started to the layers because the mind can't do it.
Mine cannot do it.
Mine
Yeah.
cannot do it. Mine wants to do it.
The mind thinks it can do it. The mind's really tricky
Yeah,
in convincing us. For
yeah,
years I was like, I have all this self-awareness of all the
yeah,
origins of things that
yeah,
they're creating this. And so I must, check. I was like,
yeah.
no, 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 no.
I know. And that's why like soul embodiment really is a feeling sense. And so we really have to drop into our bodies in
Yes,
order to experience ourselves as soul.
exactly. Yeah. So
And
the whole,
sorry,
Mhm.
keep going, please.
Oh, just that the sessions and the series are designed to not just give information, but to actually have that, energetic embodied transformative experience. Because again, we can talk about it all day long, but unless we're dropping in and shifting the energy at that level, we're just going to keep recycling.
Exactly. But it is normal for people to resist a little bit too, because the mind is like, you can't take that time.
Absolutely.
And then once the body, which is houses the soul starts to come, we become more and more aspects of self come in. That's where we get to experience that and feel that. And that's where you are divine and you know that you are sacred. And because eventually I think the mind does, I think it becomes, mind and heart becomes sort of aligned. And so, but at the beginning, and even when you do experience yourself as soul, still the mind can take us out. Well, the personal self, the ego, or whatever, I call it the personal self, is sort of just got to do this and the list of things that separate us. So this is so beautiful because we get to come and experience ourselves as that. And so anyway, Jen, I thank you so much for this beautiful offer. And, before we close, though, I would like to ask you, what is your legacy? What would you like to be remembered for?
Yes, I've been on this journey so long. Like I did my first Reiki class 20 plus years ago. And and I began my practice with thinking or kind of the perspective of, I can really help people. And I can, and I'm good at what I do in terms of, energy healing and excavating these blocks that we've talked about. But I can't be there for everybody all the time. And frankly, you have all the power inside of you. And so, as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, like my commitment to self-love a couple years ago really took my journey so much deeper than I think I had allowed it to go. And in that experience, I realized I was teaching people, but I don't feel like anyway, I'm kind of going off. What I'm really trying to say is that like we have all the power, we have all the love, we have all the wisdom inside of us. Yes, do we need assistance and people to get us past our resistance and our blind spots? Yes. But I love to empower my clients through my sessions and my classes. And, I don't ever let a client leave our session together without having something that they can implement, where they can trust that they can have this energetic connection to their body, that they can be the alchemists. And so I really feel like, self-healing is the only healing. And I feel like part of my mission is to really help people not only remember that, but actually know that they can do it, like with the practicality, not just meditating, not just yoga, not just, breath. Like you can really be a powerful alchemist with these denser energies we've been talking about to transmute. And so that's what I feel like I would love to, I have, and I will continue to assist people to do that because, what is it? You can fish for people, but you got to teach them how to fish. So,
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
my legacy is to teach people to fish.
But I can feel that. And that's so beautiful because I get you. I know what you're saying. It's like, yes, we do need some guidance and mentoring and things like that along the way. But ultimately, the journey is the one that we take, an inner journey. So you take this stuff that you help people with, and then they take it within and begin to experience. So that's the beautiful offering.
Yeah, because no one can do it for you, right?
No,
Like
no.
I think sometimes people get caught up in I've been to this healer and this healer and nothing's changed yet. And it's like we have to take full responsibility for our healing journey. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And so we're a society that wants instant. You log online and you get instant, you're connected, you want instant, whatever. And the soul journey is not instant. I mean, maybe a few people like Eckhart Tolle and Byron Katie and those people that had these instant awakenings. But I think for most of us, it would be way, way too much for our system to even try to figure out. And so it's a slow which is what I love about the Divine Mother, because when we become aware, she is consciousness within us that travels within us as we move through the chakras and the stages and the almost like everyone has a lesson or opportunity.
Mm.
And she's there. And if we become aware, you know, it's a different journey than when it's the mind, the personal self thinking, I've got to, you know, and then that's the protective self, and then that's not the true self. And so then we're separate. And so in order to experience wholeness and self with a capital S, it can only be done within.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now that's like, you know, but when you believe, right? And it's sort of like that comes out in you. You can't help but share that with people that are wanting to take that journey because it's worth it, even when we don't see the results at the beginning.
Yeah, because it does take time. It takes a lot of
Mhm.
time because we've accumulated over eons of time. And
Mhm.
like you mentioned, unfortunately, we live in a culture where there's the quick fix and there's so much emphasis on seeking outside of the self, even in the spiritual community. And
Mhm.
I've done that, and so I think really helping people remember, like, we got to keep coming back, keep bringing it back
Exactly.
in.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
beautiful that you know that, because see, that means to me that shows me that you are out of that the ego that you would have been at the beginning until you had something that had to bring you back within. And I know I had the same experience, and I really do believe that a lot of us will. It's like, oh, I finally got it. This is it. This is, and there's a teacher who teaches that there's a difference between empowerment and I think it's liberation.
Mm.
And so empowerment is when we're still sort of outside of self and heading towards, like, you know, but then that's where you were at the beginning when you did your as healing work and all that, right? Empowering people and helping people. But then there was this part of you that was liberated, who then it's like, I'm going to help people liberate and become so they don't need anybody. So,
And
yeah.
it's so funny, like that little shift, like my sessions have become so much deeper and I'm so much lighter because I think I
Yeah.
was over attaching to the outcome or concerned if
Yeah.
they were receiving from me. And when I let
Right.
that go,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like it's there's so much more ease and there's
Yeah.
so much more availability to go deeper places for some reason. It just is happening. Yeah.
It's for me, that's it's just part of the year's surrendering, you know, to
Yeah.
become the, you know, the channel for all of that to flow through and for all of us to receive the true the blessing that you're offering now, where before it would have been a different experience. So you know, I think you're beautiful, and I love your work. And I want to buy, like, everybody who I'm interviewing. It's like, oh,
I
I
want
want to
that
buy
too.
that. I
Yeah.
want that. It's like, so, you know, but I know I trust that the universe has brought us together for reasons beyond my mind. And I want, from a soul level, from, you know, from my deepest self, I want to thank you so much for saying yes to me and for being so genuine and authentic and allowing us to feel you and to take that journey with you today.
Thank you. I feel that in my heart. I really appreciate this time
Yeah.
together. It's been
Yeah.
lovely.
Oh, you are so welcome. And is there anything that you want to say as we sign off and say goodbye to the viewers? Is there anything else, or are you feeling complete?
I mean, I could talk for another 2 hours. I mean, really. But I
Well, I
think
do
we've
too.
covered yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, we're done. No, I'm just really grateful for everybody who's still listening and here and hopefully receiving and hopefully was able to receive something from our exchange today.
I trust that,
Yes,
you know, you had the energy flowing, I have the energy flowing, so we're out of the mind. So
that's right.
people will receive. And again, I thank you so very much for saying yes to me, and I thank the viewers for saying yes and tuning in. And I thank Loren at New Earth One for this beautiful, sacred opportunity. And I love you. And I love you, Jen. And I send love, peace, and blessings to all. Namaste, beautiful ones.
Namaste. Love to all. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.